Hi, it's Chris Watkin, back again with Richard Rawlings, the amazing estate agency trainer, and he believes that every single viewing should be accompanied. Why is that, Richard? Talk to me.
No question in my mind, Chris, every viewing should be accompanied. Not only is it part of the service that an agent is offering to justify their commission, because otherwise they become invisible. And I know geography comes into it. I've got agents in Scotland and Anglesey last week and the Lake District, and they're travelling 40 miles to do a viewing, so they need to qualify their buyers pretty well. But irrespective of that, agents who don't accompany are missing a trick, firstly with their reputation, because what do their clients think of them if they're not being seen to accompany and to care? It's also putting the onus on the seller. And the seller's not trained in buyer psychology. All they want to do is sell their house, so they're likely to try very hard. I want to sell your house, you've got to buy it, you've got to buy it. These are the best floors, the best walls, the best everything.
Or this is where we had the structural survey. And
yes.
Go the other way.
Absolutely, yeah. So what happens, if you think about it, part of the psychology is when a buyer looks around a property, and as we know, most buyers, I know in the massive market we've been in, perhaps less so, but generally speaking, people want to see a property at least twice before they make an offer. And the reason for that is that the first time they're selling it to the heart. The heart is saying, what they're looking to say is, could we be happy here? They walk in, what's the feel of the place? The views, the relationship between the rooms, the flow, could we be happy here? And the heart is saying, hey, yeah, we really could. We'll put the sofa there, we'll do this. The heart wants to move in tomorrow. But the brain steps in and says, hold on.
The logical side
says, we need to think about this. I don't know what we need to think about, but we need to go away and think about it. Now, what happens is, on that first viewing, if the seller, who's desperate to sell their house, highlights minutiae, like that the crack that was fixed or something, it's taking the onus off the heart and it's moving it all to some stupid little detail that has no bearing on whether they'd be happy there or not. And it's for the brain. No, keep that up the sleeve till tomorrow. Let them come back, because the first viewing, they're looking for a reason to buy the house. The second viewing, the brain, he's looking for a reason not to buy the house, to be on the safe side. So that's the time when you're looking a little bit more critically, because you don't want to make the wrong decision based on some heart feeling from yesterday. And the brain's saying, so tell me about this crack. And that's when the seller or the agent can mention that. I'm not saying hide stuff. I'm just saying at the outset, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter whether it's a double radiator or whether the boiler was last serviced last year. It's sell to the heart to begin with. And also, company viewings as well. It seems to be an art that is dying in a way, particularly in the market we've been through, whereas it used to be you'd pick up a buyer, you'd physically pick them up, put them in your car, pick them up from the station, and there are agents watching this and say, oh, my car's a mess, or what about insurance? Can't do that, insurance and safety and so. Get over it. Find a way. If you're going to be the agent that's up there, find a way through all these issues, non-issues. And you're having conversations with them on the phone and in the car and at the previous house, and you're asking them, what has prompted your move? In other words, what's the problem you're trying to solve? Only when they know what has prompted that buyer to move house can they help them discover this property in the context of solving that problem. It's not about showing a property, oh, this is the bathroom, it's got a bath in it, I knew that. I don't care if they haven't even seen the house before. It's about exploring it with them on their terms, not trying to sell the house to them. That's what good salesmanship is, finding that fit, isn't it? And it's also, so what has prompted that move? And asking questions as well. How does this house compare to where you are now? How does it compare to the place you looked at yesterday? And if you were the person who showed them the place yesterday, actually, if you think about it, next to the place we saw yesterday, this is a much better kitchen, isn't it? And using psychological terms like a negative interrogative, I used then, didn't I? I said, isn't it? Didn't I? It gets people to agree with you, doesn't it? And Chris is nodding, no, because it works, doesn't it? It does, yeah. It gets people in a positive frame of mind. That one big decision usually made up of lots of little decisions. So we want people to make lots of little decisions. So there's a lot of psychology involved.
I was about to say, do you think estate agents are trained in sales psychology?
The ones I train are. Within my training, I think it's really important to include elements of psychology, because that's what salesmanship is. It's understanding what's going through their mind. It's using word strings that fit well with who they are. Are they audio people, visual people, kinesthetic people? Are you using some NLP? Do you know when to lead people? Do you know you're dealing with a creative person or somebody who wants detail, wants to see facts and figures? What's that got to do with the seller? The seller's just trying to move away from the property. Well, we want these people to move to it. The seller doesn't like it anymore. Why not accompanied viewings? I don't know.
Any other thoughts on accompanied viewings?
Well, we know that so often a buyer does not necessarily buy the property they first inquired about. Yeah. Most of the time that's the case, isn't it? They buy something else.
I think one agent I know looked 4%.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And so, because our property listings are there to attract buyers. So we've attracted the buyer. They didn't happen to like that one. So what do? We wave goodbye and they go and buy it through someone else unless you choose to represent them. But what about when you get to know them and even fairly superficially, you say, actually, on what you've said, I've got a super property. I'd love you to see. I know it's not quite in the area, but I've got the key. Have you got time now? Let's just quickly go. Have just a 10-minute quick look round. Because we know, anyone watching this will know, the expression buyers are liars, we hear that. It's compromise. Agents should be masters of harnessing compromise, because we know that somebody who says they're looking for a 3-bedroom house in this area will end up buying a 2-bedroom house in that area for all sorts of reasons. We haven't got time to go into that. But unless we are challenging people and say, I just want you to see this. That's a challenge. Not what do you want. I want you to see it. It's because I've assessed that property that you didn't consider could well be suitable for you. I've got the key. Let's shoot off there now. And so, and I'd even go further. If we are in the business of helping people move, which I always say, what do agents do? Oh, we sell houses. No, we help people move. If we're in the business of really helping people move, we say, right, I've shown you what we have. Unfortunately not suitable, but I do know one of our competitors up the road, they've got a property that could suit you well. Go and have a chat with them. I'll come around with you if you like. And that's quite nice, because then the seller will think that they'll say, well, I was on the market with this agent, but the other agent sold it. So that moves us a little bit into half commissions and buyer representation, but it doesn't in this instance. No commission, it's just being nice, and it's just helping people move and showing other agents stock. Does in this, our area, our territories, that just there. We know exactly where it is. Let's do good stuff within there and we'll get a great reputation.
So do you think the valuers and listers should be doing the accompanied viewers, or should it be the retired policeman, or...?
Well, I mean, I'm a great fan of Viewber, certainly, because it means that viewings are going to happen that didn't previously. There is a gap because you can't have those ongoing conversations with buyers, as I mentioned just now. And it would be great if they were trained in some of these psychologies. But either way, for a seller to pay money for an agent to sell the property and then to expect them to do the selling when they probably have a counter effect as well. They'll offer them a cup of tea maybe and be terribly nice when the people, by not accompanying, of course, means that the people can't discuss what their plans are. We were looking at a house once, I remember, in Scotland, and it was a big old place. The old lady was showing us around, and my wife Charlotte and I, we wanted to say, well, we'll knock that wall down there and we'll do this. We were just about to have that conversation, and she said, and I was born in this very room. You can't trash a house, poor lady, So you need to be able to speak freely, or just be able to say, actually, you know what, it's not for us. Thanks very much. So absolutely, accompanied viewings.
Thank you for your insight today, Richard.
Very welcome.